My entitled neighbor let his party guests park their cars in my driveway even after I told her no. So I had all the cars towed while they were busy partying. This happened a few days ago and my neighbor's reaction still makes me laugh. Last week, my neighbor who's in her 20s rang my doorbell. She started off with a few pleasantries but soon got to the point. She was hosting a party on Saturday night and wanted to ask if her guests could park in my driveway. We live in an area where all the houses have a huge driveway, and 10 to 12 cars can fit in each one. But she explained that it was a huge party and there would be over 25 cars coming, so her driveway won't be enough. I told her that they can park on the street in front of my garden, but not in my driveway as that would block my car in. I also had to go to church on Sunday morning so I didn't want to interrupt my own plans to accommodate her. She tried arguing and said that the street parking won't nearly be enough, and she could instruct her guests to park to the side so my car could get out. I kindly declined and told her that there's a parking lot a few blocks away that she can try and use, but my driveway won't be available. I closed the door after that and thought that was the end of it. For clarification, she never brought me any gifts and didn't invite me to the party, so it's not like she was fairly compensating me for my troubles or anything. She was asking for a clear favor. We hadn't really talked before this and weren't close, so there was no incentive for me to agree. Despite all that, she kept giving me dirty looks whenever I saw her outside throughout the week. She would also make faces and I could tell she was calling me some unsavory words to someone over the phone. Anyway, I didn't think it was that big of a deal and she would get over this once she gets more mature and stuff. Sadly, the opposite of that happened. Saturday arrived and when I decided to go out to meet with friends at a bar, I noticed that my neighbor had completely disregarded my words. There were at least 7 cars parked in my driveway and they were blocking everything. There was no way to get my car out. I also couldn't ring her doorbell because I could hear very loud music and shouting, and didn't want to deal with intoxicated youngsters who have no sense of decency. I considered going back in and abandoning my plans, but then I realized that it's not my fault my driveway is blocked, and what they're currently doing is illegal. So I used my phone and immediately called the towing company. They were delighted to hear that I had over 7 cars for them to tow and even thanked me for the business. The towers came and went within 30 minutes, and my neighbor didn't even realize the cars were gone until the next morning. While I was at church, I got a notification from my front door cam that someone was banging on my door. Yup, you guessed it, it was my neighbor. I stepped outside and talked to her through the intercom to see what she wanted. She was nearly sobbing and called me a thief, and a bunch of other words. She accused me of stealing the cars and said she'll call the cops if I don't return them immediately. I politely told her that the cars are at an impound since they were parked illegally, and they can probably claim them after paying the fine. I also told her to go ahead and call the police, because my door cam had caught everything. Our first conversation about the cars, them literally parking in my driveway and laughing while walking to her house, as well as me calling the towing company and telling them the truth. She was furious and finally walked away after calling me a huge jerk. Although before she could walk off my driveway, she tripped and fell right onto her head. I still laugh like a maniac whenever I recall that scene, and I'm heartily waiting to see if she will try and sue for the injury.